Have you ever had someone in your family addicted to alcohol? Or maybe they are, and you just don't know it yet. Well, today we are going to be talking about the effects of alcoholism, its current status in our society, and what the future holds for not just the disease of alcoholism, but alcohol itself. So let's get into the history of alcohol. Alcohol first dated back in China in 7000 BC, and then shortly after were the Greeks. And in that time, there were plenty of writings and logs stating that alcohol was a problem and had been a problem for a little bit. It started off with the basics of fermented fruit, and then as we move down to the Silk Road era, we can see that there was a change from wine to that's when it started becoming mostly the beers, and they started making breweries around in the Middle East. And as said in the oral history video, Build on Beer, it states that beer was, yes, it was used for trade, but it was also kind of a motivation for them at this time, whereas we were nomadic people that were going around going wherever we could find, but beer really encouraged people to build breweries, and that's what really made people settle. And basically it would plenty of higher up royalty in Egypt were they were all drinking beer as it was seen as a luxury at this time. So that's how they had access. And they had problems back in the days where there was alcohol had completely taken over people. It had become dangerous to have. It was a substance that just ultimately became dangerous, as we see in the 1920s, where we had the Prohibition Act directed by the government, which is basically the act of stopping all production, selling, consuming of alcohol, which in turn did not stop them. I mean, people are gonna do what they want, and the 1920s were no shy of that. And so ultimately it changed in a way, but people were still going back to those ways, and it ultimately led to them sneaking around and having problems like that. So alcoholism was around for years and years. It's been around for thousands of years, and it's not curable as per se, but manageable. Now that we've talked about the history, I want to move into the current situation of alcoholism. So when we think about alcoholism, we think that it is terrible, and as we should. It is a very serious subject that we need to take into consideration here. I mean, it is harmful. It can cause many diseases on top of it. On top of having this addiction, you could be consuming this alcohol and your liver could fail, your kidneys could fail, and countless of other things. I mean, we cannot just sit around and let this happen. But we see that said by David Jones in his article Sobriety of the Generations. It states that Gen Z is the most sober generation that they have had in a long time. We are ultimately 20% less than the most alcoholic generation, which is the millennials. We are considered less, and we have Gen Z has taken precaution to this. We know that the effects of it, most of us has seen the effects of it. Me personally, I have a relative that suffered from it. I no longer talk to that relative, and it was very hard, and it can just take over someone's life, and it's nothing to joke about. Now that we've talked about the current situation, let's talk about the future though. Like, are these companies getting better? Are they changing their habits of not directing their products towards younger generation? And it's no. They will continue to put the most profitable thing out, and if that means that they need to cater to the younger audience, that's what they're doing. Because right now there's a trend of frozen drinks such as margaritas and stuff like that, frozen margaritas and like frozen strawberry daiquiris or something, and that has really put a damper on it, because kids nowadays see that and they're like, oh, an icy, a fresh thing, a fresh delicious treat, but it's not. It's actually very dangerous. Like, it's very off-putting to children. They do not understand, especially now people are making alcoholic popsicles, which they design in this bright colored packaging, and it looks just like kid stuff, and it is catering to kids. And if the cashier is not careful enough and a kid comes walking up with those and they just scan them, and what are they gonna do? I mean, they're alcoholic, but that person just thinks it's for kids. I mean, it's dangerous packaging. They need to realize that this has to change. It cannot continue this way. So today we have looked at the effects of alcoholism, where it has originated, and also the wide range of effects that it has caused and continue to cause for generations to come. It will be wise for us to look for the signs of alcoholism and make sure that everyone remembers that you don't need to have alcohol to have fun. And if you do feel this way, I hope that you get help. Or if you see that a family member is acting this way, I hope you provide this to someone in a professional field. And I just, hopefully that you can help save someone's life, or even your own for that matter. Just drink responsibly.